the invisible karma of the narcissist. When control crumbles and the mask finally falls. It is deeply human to crave justice when someone has shattered your heart or stripped you of your peace. Psychologists often note that when people endure betrayal or emotional destruction, especially at the hands of a narcissist, the longing for revenge is not born out of cruelty, but out of pain seeking balance. It is the psyche's way of trying to restore order after chaos. Victims of narcissistic abuse often fantasize about seeing their abuser broken, exposed, or haunted by karma. Yet, true justice rarely arrives through confrontation or retaliation. According to trauma experts, engaging with a narcissist only feeds their endless hunger for attention, because to them, even your anger is a form of energy, a form of control. The real revenge, as psychologists explain, unfolds quietly, through loss of control, a force narcissists cannot tolerate. Control is their oxygen. It is how they sustain the fragile illusion of superiority that shields them from their deep, buried shame. When you withdraw your reactions, go no contact, and refuse to play their emotional chess game, you disrupt their entire inner ecosystem. They spiral because your silence communicates something far more powerful than your words ever could. They no longer matter. This is the beginning of their internal collapse, the point at which their false sense of power begins to rot from the inside out. Every narcissist dreads the slow, inevitable decay of their reputation. At first, it crumbles in fragments. A friend begins to see through their manipulation. A colleague starts questioning their stories. A new partner senses that something doesn't add up. Psychologists refer to these moments as mini narcissistic injuries, tiny punctures in their grandiose self-image. Each one chips away at the mask they've worked so hard to maintain. Over time, as patterns repeat and lies unravel, even those who once defended them begin to doubt. Their charming facade fractures, and the narcissist finds themselves forced to reinvent their image elsewhere, starting the same destructive cycle again in new social terrain. But no matter how far they run, the truth has a way of following them. As experts in personality disorders often point out, a narcissist's behavioral patterns are self-revealing. Their smear campaigns, those malicious attempts to rewrite the narrative and portray you as the villain, can succeed temporarily, especially with people who don't know the full story. But time, consistency, and truth are stronger forces than deceit. Eventually, the manipulation becomes transparent. Their words lose weight, their mask begins to slip, and the reputation they worshipped so obsessively starts to disintegrate before their very eyes. When this happens, they experience something they've spent their entire lives avoiding: emptiness. Psychologists describe this as the narcissist's existential void, the unbearable internal silence that surfaces when there's no one left to validate them. They have lost their supply, that constant stream of admiration, fear, or attention that sustains their fragile self-esteem. When people stop feeding that hunger, the narcissist is forced to face the truth they cannot bear. Beneath the grandiosity lies an aching, hollow self. This is karma, not divine punishment, but the natural consequence of their own emotional starvation. Their relationships, once a revolving door of excitement and manipulation, begin to decay. They monkey branch from one partner to another, but the connections become increasingly shallow, transactional, and exhausting. Each new relationship burns out faster than the last. Friends begin to withdraw. Children grow distant. Even family members, once loyal and forgiving, start to see the patterns and detach to protect their own peace. Clinical psychologists often call this stage narcissistic burnout, when the very tactics that once empowered them begin to erode their social world until only isolation remains. And then comes the cruelest form of karma, time. As their beauty fades, their charisma dulls, and their influence wanes, the narcissist is forced to confront the one enemy they can never manipulate: themselves. Without fresh supply, without admiration, without someone to mirror their false self, they begin to unravel. The grand empire of lies they built starts to collapse from within, leaving them desperate, bitter, and haunted by a truth they can no longer deny. Every person they tried to control has walked away, and the only one left to destroy is themselves. For survivors, this knowledge can be both healing and humbling. Psychologists urge victims not to focus on vengeance but on reclamation. reclaiming your energy, your boundaries, your peace. True victory lies in living free, grounded, and self-aware, no longer orbiting around the narcissist's gravitational pull. Each moment you choose not to engage, not to react, and not to chase closure, you reclaim a piece of yourself they once owned. Because ultimately, the narcissist's greatest punishment is not what happens to them. It's who they become when you are finally gone. Time is the one force a narcissist cannot charm, deceive, or dominate. As years pass and the glow of youth begins to fade, psychologists note that aging for a narcissist can feel like a slow psychological death. What ordinary people might embrace with acceptance or grace, the wrinkles that tell stories, the quieter rhythms of life, feels to a narcissist like an attack on their very existence. Their beauty, vitality, and influence once acted as weapons of manipulation, tools to secure admiration and control. But as the mirror begins to tell a truth they can no longer deny, panic begins to surface. Their reflection becomes their greatest enemy, a constant reminder that their power is slipping away. For narcissists, aging represents more than the loss of youth. It signifies the loss of identity. According to Dr. Craig Malkin, a clinical psychologist specializing in narcissism, their entire self-worth is built upon external validation. When attention dwindles, their ego, fragile and inflated, begins to implode. Some react by chasing youth desperately, cosmetic procedures, younger partners, or reckless behaviors meant to prove they're still desirable. Others sink into rage or bitterness, resenting anyone who dares to age more gracefully or live with contentment. It's not about vanity, it's about survival. Their fading appearance mirrors their fading control, and for a narcissist, that is psychological suffocation. Then comes the financial and social decay, a karmic ripple effect of the same recklessness that once seemed daring or confident. Narcissists, driven by entitlement and impulsivity, often make destructive financial choices. Psychologists liken it to ego-driven gambling, where every decision is rooted in the belief that they are untouchable. Failed ventures, legal battles, and broken partnerships are the inevitable outcome. But what's most tragic is the collateral damage. Those who once loved or trusted them often end up financially or emotionally drained. Victims describe this stage as being pulled into a slow-motion collapse, where every attempt to help the narcissist becomes another trap. And yet, when the dust settles, it's the narcissist who faces the most profound loss of all, themselves. Without constant admiration or fresh sources of supply, they are forced into the one confrontation they've avoided their entire lives, the confrontation with their own emptiness. Psychologists describe this as the narcissistic void, a deep psychological hollowness filled with shame, insecurity, and unresolved trauma. Ordinary sadness becomes intolerable for them because it reminds them of their own insignificance. While others can process grief, failure, or aging through reflection and healing, the narcissist externalizes all pain. They project, blame, and destroy anything to escape the unbearable truth that the problem is not the world, but them. In therapy rooms, survivors of narcissistic abuse often describe the irony of this downfall. The narcissist once seemed untouchable, beautiful, powerful, magnetic. But as time erodes those illusions, their once grand persona begins to fracture. Those around them start to see what the victim saw all along: the rage beneath the charm, the fragility behind the arrogance. Slowly, people pull away. Friends disappear. Lovers leave. Even children, exhausted by years of emotional manipulation, start setting boundaries. This isolation is not random. It's the natural consequence of a lifetime of exploitation. It is, as one psychologist puts it, the universe's slow justice. But perhaps the cruelest aspect of the narcissist's decline is the loneliness that follows. With no one left to validate them, their bitterness festers. They dwell on past grievances, rewriting history so that they remain the eternal victim. They had all the luck, they'll say. Everyone turned against me. Their narrative becomes a blend of self-pity and rage, an endless loop of woe is me that drives even the most sympathetic listener away. In their minds, the world owes them something, and anyone who refuses to align with their distorted version of reality becomes the enemy. For the victim, understanding this stage is crucial. It's tempting to feel pity, to see the narcissist's downfall as tragic and to want to help. But psychologists warn that empathy, in this case, can be dangerous. The narcissist will use your compassion as a new entry point, a new way to regain control. The healthiest revenge, therefore, is not retribution, it is reclamation. Live well, feel deeply, build a life so peaceful, so self-sufficient, that the narcissist's absence feels like freedom rather than loss. Dr. Ramani Durvasula, a leading expert on narcissistic abuse, often tells survivors, karma doesn't need your participation. It happens naturally through consequence. And that's exactly how the narcissist's story ends. Not with a dramatic explosion, but with a slow erosion. The mask falls, the crowd disperses, and the person who once believed they were godlike is left with the one thing they cannot manipulate: reality. So if you've ever wondered whether karma comes for the narcissist, it does. Not in flames, but in silence. Not through your revenge, but through their own unraveling. And your task as the survivor is not to watch them fall, but to rise higher than they ever thought you could.